Are you dealing with a hamstring injury? If so, you've only got your own ass to blame. Literally. I'm going to show you what I mean today. What's up guys, Jeff Cavalier, ATHLEAN-X.com. Like I said right off the bat guys, if you're dealing with a hamstring injury or have had some in the past, the only one to blame is you and your own ass. And I mean that literally because most often hamstring injuries come not because of the hamstrings. It's because the hamstrings are trying to do the role of not only themselves but the glutes. Glute inability to activate or at inadequate strength is going to almost 99% of the time, guys, be the cause of why you blow your hamstring. So here's what we know. The hamstrings, their primary job is to flex the knee and also extend the hip. Not as good at extending the hip as the glutes are. But what happens is when we have weak glutes or an inability to activate the glutes, the hamstrings try to kick in and help out. Unfortunately, as I said, they're not that good at it and they usually wind up paying the price. So what we need to do today is show you two things. One, how do we activate them? And two, how do we strengthen them properly? So let's get right to the first part and I'll take you right through it. Alright, so the first thing we have to be able to do is activate the glutes because I mentioned it a couple videos ago, glute amnesia, meaning our inability to sort of use that mind-muscle connection to get the glutes to fire, especially sequentially, to get them to fire first so that it takes over and doesn't require the hamstrings to do things that they don't need to be doing. Now, one of the ways that people will tell you to isolate the glutes and try to get them to be active is to do really, really small movements. And that's a good idea because you're not looking for reps, you're just looking for the activation ability. How good do you get at activating? Unfortunately, here's what they usually have you do. If I get down to the ground here, they'll want you to lay on the ground, bend one knee up here, and then try to press your foot flat into the ceiling, okay, like that. But what you'll see is right off the bat, I get a little bit of hip rotation. Because if I can't push and activate the glutes enough to extend the hip, I'm going to cheat it. And the way I cheat it is by rotating the hip. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to get my foot higher to the ceiling, but I'm going to do it by rotating the hips. So the next thing they'll do is tell you to keep your hips flat on the ground so that the points of both of your hips up here doesn't leave the ground. Okay, so that's going to help. But what I wind up getting there is I wind up getting more knee flexion. As I try to lift the hip up, the knee is flexing more than it should, so the hamstrings once again are trying to kick in. So we don't want that. So how do we do this right? There's a drill I developed specifically for this, and all we have to do is preset the hips so that we can take that out of the equation, the two faults I just showed you. You step forward with one leg right here, and then what we're going to do is as you lean forward, try to keep your legs straight and lift up. Leg straight and lift up. Again, here, tough to rotate because this other foot is planted into the ground. And both my hands are square on the ground, so the rest of me is pretty square. So it's hard to rotate, so we can take that component out of it. Secondly, if I try to bend my knee, it's not going to pull me off the ground. I can't even get up off the ground doing that. Bending the knee is just going to bring my leg forward. So really, the only choice I have here to lift my leg straight because this other leg is preset forward is to activate the glutes. And I'll tell you, try a couple and you'll see right off the bat that you can definitely feel a tight activation and contraction. And again, you want to get better at doing that. So work on that reps and not necessarily holding it, but the ability to continue to fire that and cause those glutes to activate. Now, we have to show you the second part of how to strengthen it the right way. So I'll take it on the floor and show you the next part. Alright, so let's finish this off and get you guys beyond these hamstring injuries once and for all. On the floor, we have a bar here that we've set up. Just a regular Olympic bar, two plates just to get it off the floor. Make sure they're the same size weight so that it's level. The concept is this. I talked about sequence. In order to have these glutes and hamstrings work together, what you want to be able to do is have the glutes do their job. Have the hip extension occur. Get them to stabilize the rest of the pelvis. And then we can work on the hamstrings extending and flexing the leg back and forth. So obviously they're the ones that are pulling it back in. But we want to be able to make sure that as a prerequisite to that, we have the glute activation going. So for you guys having the ATHLEAN-X program, you're familiar with our slick floor curls. If you don't have this set up, you could easily do this wearing socks on a hardwood floor. Okay, so just picture as I show you this, wearing socks on a hardwood floor. But for those guys that don't have the ability to do that, you have this thing where we have the ability to roll. Now, you get down on your back, put your feet flat up on top of the bar, and first things first, you want to bridge up, extend through the hips. Everything I just showed you over there. It's a good idea to showcase the, to do the activation first. Roll out then. Don't let your glutes fall down and curl in. You can see the hamstring out all the way, pull in right here. You can see really firing, but with stabilization from the glutes first. I don't want to be pulling in and lowering at the same time, because if you do that, then you're getting rid of the glute contribution. So get the glutes active as high as you can, and then roll out and pull in without letting the hamstrings drop. Okay? So it's that kind of combination, guys. Again, hamstring injuries, extremely common. One of the most common injuries that athletes and non-athletes get. A lot of it comes from our hip flexors being tight. We can address that in another video. But for the purposes here, you got to be able to activate them. You got to be able to strengthen them the right way. So we kind of cover all this stuff. As I said, the slick floor curl in the ATHLEAN-X program, it's about training you like an athlete. Whether or not you ever intend to step on the field or not, I still think it's important to work these kind of things into our standard strength and conditioning that we do every day at ATHLEAN-X. And that's why the guys that complete our program don't only come out looking a lot better and having all the aesthetic appeal, but they also come out a lot stronger functionally, and that's really what it's all about for me. So if you haven't already, guys, join me on Team Athlean. Come get the ATHLEAN-X training program at ATHLEANX.com. In the meantime, let me know. Try these things. Let me know how you do on those activation drills and leave your comment. And we'll be back here again in just a couple days with yet another video. Thanks.